something out.
Oh, here we go. We have a new clip. Let's try that out. How's everybody doing?
Good.
All right. You sound kind of quiet. It's beautiful weather. We got the Chamber of Commerce weather going on here in Kentucky, and I'm glad that you're here. So I'm going to give you an update, and hopefully I'm going to show you some things that maybe you haven't seen before. And if you haven't seen me before, my name is Theriault. I am the plant director at a little business that's at the other end of Corvette Drive called the Corvette Plant. So thank you for coming today. All right, since Bash, which I know many familiar faces that are in the audience right now, we're also here at Bash, a lot of things have happened. You know, at Bash we announced 2 amazing colors, and I have to tell you that today one of the questions I'm getting all the time is, hey, where's the Roswell green? Where is it at? And I can tell you, it's usually out parked up front of the plant. John Andrews, who's the assistant plant manager at the plant, who many of you probably know, he's driving a Roswell green high-wing ZR1X. He will be actually at the dinner tonight, the ZR1 dinner tonight, so maybe he'll be in the parking lot here as well. So if you want to see the green, you've got a good chance of doing that still. Several other things have happened, like towards the end of Bash, there was actually a wedding conducted in the spire of the museum, which was awesome for Lon and Anya, who were married. And then, shortly after Bash, we did this little small thing called Release the New Interior. How do y'all like that? Right? So it's been very well received, as it is in this room, and we're really excited that that's what we're producing online now. I know a lot of you have been on tour, and I've seen that we only have 2026s going down the line now, so it's been a busy time this summer in the Corvette plant. And we have a newest addition, right? We had a reveal the middle of June where we launched to the world a car known as the ZR1X. And we're going to talk a little bit about that, and I'm going to show you some really fine details that have rarely been seen before about how that car gets manufactured. So it really is, today, the pinnacle of the C8 architecture. The car combines the 1,064 horsepower engine, the LT7 engine that drives the rear wheels, just like the ZR1, with 186 horsepower electric drive for the front wheels. So it's our second ever all-wheel drive Corvette. And with that electric drive, it is screaming fast off the line. It has 1,250 horsepower, and the 0 to 60 time is less than 2 seconds. And everybody's gonna say, why aren't you telling us what the time really is? And it's because we're still shaving time off the time, right? As we develop the car. So we wanna get the time to the right time, and then I'm sure we'll share it with you. And that car, much like E-Rays, is only made possible because of the folks at Bowling Green Assembly, who certainly build the LT7 engine and put the rest of the car together. But our friends at the GM plant in Brownstown, Michigan, make the electric front drive as well as the battery pack that makes the ZR1X the X. So we're going to talk about that a little bit today, but first I'm going to show you this video of the battery pack actually going together. cool? That's an inside look into how the battery pack goes together. And I actually want to highlight a few things from that video. So in the far left picture, these silver squares, these are actually the battery cells. Those are very much like, I'm going to compare it to a Capri Sun pack. And I'm getting, can't hear me, so that's probably better. Now it's way loud, thank you. Those silver packs are very much like a Capri Sun pack, right? They're a thin, I'm going to call it a tinfoil, that's not what it really is, with the chemical inside. And they have tabs on either end that make the electrical connection. And as we add those cells to the battery pack, that's how we get the battery pack that is actually used to drive the electric drive unit. The other interesting part in the second picture here is that's actually a press. So we put all those battery cells into a press, and it's very important that they get pressed to the correct pressure because the pressure impacts the efficiency of the chemical reaction that's taking place in the battery, right? So all of that has to be correct. And then here at the end, you'll see us making some electrical connections. I'm going to talk more about that in a second. In fact, right here. So that last view is actually 20 connections being made at a time. When you saw this in the video, they load an integrated circuit board up into the tool and press it down. There's 20 connections at a time, 80 per side, 160 total in the battery, and all 20 connections have to be made at the same time for that integrated circuit board. It's really a very precise operation. And then you're probably wondering, well, that's just the battery pack. How does it go into the car? Well, here's this video. And what you will see here is that our team member in Bowling Green Assembly loads the battery right into the tunnel of the car. Same spot as the emitter. That's where the whole battery pack goes. And we lift it to the car and fasten all of the fasteners in a single operation, and then she will pull the tool down and out of the way.
What's the voltage?
We'll get to questions in a second. So that's how the battery pack actually goes into the car. All right, now the battery pack doesn't do anything unless you have an electric motor and a front drive unit. And we actually make that in Brownstown, Michigan as well, because we believe that the way we put the front drive unit together, that gives us a competitive advantage. And here's a sneak peek into how that actually happens. because we believe it's a competitive advantage. And it's really a precise process. For example, here's a couple pictures of actually the wires before they get pushed into the stator. They're pushed into the stator in the center picture, and then they actually get put into the housing for the front drive unit. And there's 144 wires that go into that, and every wire bend is extremely important. It helps the performance of that electric drive. And there's 7 different types of bends. And all of that gets welded together, believe it or not, with 144 different welds. And the length of the wire is important down to the microns to have all of this work. And the position of the wire and the angles of the bend, all of that is extremely important for the quality of that front drive unit so that we can get the performance that we know and love as the ZR1X. It's absolutely amazing. And I love visiting our Brownstown plant because there's not too many places that you can go in the world where they make a really cool car even cooler. And the folks that work in Brownstown are able to do that, right? ZR1 is an amazing car. It's heard around the world. We're going to have a whole dinner about it tonight. But add an electric drive to it, and a really cool car gets even cooler, and it's completely thanks to our friends in Brownstown, Michigan that produced that. All right, the drive unit itself at the end, we want to make sure that it's going to perform exactly the way that we expect it to in daily driving as well as on the test or on the track. So to do that, we send it through a test system that's actually not too different from the way that we test engines or transmissions before we assemble them into vehicles as well. It's a big statistical test machine that tests all sorts of parameters to make sure everything is inspected before the front drive unit ever gets shipped to Bowling Green. All right, so that's a little peek into what's been going on in Bowling Green Assembly with the things that we've done since BASH. It's a little peek into what's been happening in Brownstown, Michigan. My friends Rachel and Mary right now are going to pass out sheets of paper. Take a second and form into teams of 4 because we're going to play trivia, and there are prizes on the line for the trivia winners. So take a sheet of paper. We're going to do 20 questions of trivia. Highest score wins. If there's a tie, we have a tiebreaker question at the end.